The scourge of man is imaginary knowledge. Prudence is also characterized by extremes, and it needs measure no less than frivolity. Let us beware lest old age put more wrinkles on our soul than on our face. There are people who get better with one kind of drug. In every state, the thirst for glory grows with the freedom of the subjects and decreases with it. Glory never gets along with slavery. At the beginning of all philosophy lies wonder. In dealing with people, the human mind achieves amazing clarity. There is nothing useless in nature. The greatness of victory is measured by the degree of its difficulty. An oar immersed in water seems broken to us. Thus, it is important not only what we see, but also how we see it. Instead of striving to know others, we are concerned only with how to flaunt ourselves, and our cares are directed more to keeping our goods from stale than to acquiring a new one for ourselves. The lust that we feel for a woman is directed only to the desire to get rid of the torment generated by an ardent and violent desire. All disasters are not worth striving for death in order to avoid them. Everything in a person goes with him uphill and downhill. Any belief can be strong enough to make people stand up for it, even at the cost of their lives. In general, all the food I have cooked up here is only the result of my life experience, which for any sane person can be useful as a call to act in a completely opposite way. A vile and senseless occupation, to endlessly deal with your money, finding pleasure in their sorting out, weighing and counting. This, truly, is the way in which greed creeps into us on the sly. The affairs of state require a bolder morality. Stupidity and confusion in feelings is not a thing that can be corrected by good advice alone. Trees, and they seem to groan when they are maimed. It takes more intelligence to teach another than to teach yourself. The valor for which one is so eager to be famous can, on occasion, be just as brilliant, whether we are wearing home dress or battle armor, whether we are at home or in a military camp, whether our hand is lowered or raised to strike. The deed is worthy of praise, not the person himself. The soul derives benefit for itself decisively from everything. Even delusions, even dreams, and they serve its purposes, everything will go to work with it, if only to protect us from danger and anxiety. If it were given to me to carve myself to my liking, then there is no such form, no matter how beautiful it may be, into which I would like to squeeze in, so as not to part with it ever again. If a person only wanted to be happy, it would be easy, but everyone wants to be happier than others, and this is almost always very difficult, because we usually consider others happier than they really are. If teachers enlighten their many students by teaching them all the same lesson and demanding the same behavior from them, although their abilities are not at all the same, then it is not surprising that among a huge crowd of children there are only 2 or 3 children who extract a real benefit from such teaching. If you want to be cured of ignorance, you must confess it. If I lie, I offend myself more than the one I lied about. If wives love to look at their husbands from the front, shouldn't they, if need be just as willing to look at their backs? Wishing for what we don't have destroys the enjoyment of what we have. Marrying without tying yourself in anything is a betrayal. Women are not at all to blame for the fact that sometimes they refuse to obey the rules of conduct established for them by society. After all, these rules were composed by men, and moreover, without any participation of women. Life itself is neither good nor evil, it is a container for both good and evil, depending on what you yourself have turned it into. The old and well-known evil is always preferable to the evil of the new and unknown. The games of children are not games at all, and it is more correct to look at them as the most significant and thoughtful occupation of this age. Truth does not grow wiser with age. True dignity is like a river, the deeper it is, the less noise it makes. The punishment that befell you is still very mild compared to what others endure. This is truly a fatherly punishment. The picture of so many state troubles and changes in the destinies of various peoples teaches us not to be too proud of ourselves. When we say that we are afraid of death, we think first of all of pain, its usual predecessor. When science is used as it should be, it is the noblest and greatest achievement of the human race. When judging a single act, before evaluating it, one must take into account various circumstances and take into account the whole appearance of the person who committed it. When the philosopher Diogenes needed money, he did not say that he would borrow it from friends, he said that he would ask his friends to return the debt to him. Eloquence, diverting attention to itself, damages the very essence of things. Any person can say something corresponding to the truth, but not so many can express it beautifully, reasonably, in a laconic way. That is why I am annoyed not by what is said incorrectly out of ignorance, but by the inability to say it well. Our opinions grow one into another, the first serves as a stem for the second for the third. So we climb from step to step. And it turns out that the one who climbed the highest often gets more honor than he deserved, because, having climbed on the shoulders of the previous one, he only rises a little above him. We cannot do without marriage, and at the same time we belittle it. Here the same thing happens that is observed near the cages. The birds that are free desperately want to get into them, those that are locked up just as desperately want to get out outside. Peoples brought up in freedom and accustomed to govern themselves consider any other form of government to be something unnatural and monstrous. Those who are accustomed to monarchy act in no other way. Even when they have got rid of some unbearable sovereign with the greatest difficulty, they are in a hurry to put another in his place, because they cannot decide to hate enslavement.